Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are absolutely thrilled. Been wanting to interview this guy for a while now, and that's Sai Huda. He's the chairman and CEO of CyberCatch. How you doing there, Sai?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Honored to be with you, Drew.
Well, we're honored to have you on this. And full disclosure, Sai was our presenting sponsor of the Classroom of the Future Foundation's 6th annual College and Career Pathways Summit. It took place at National University Spectrum Center, and will continue his support of Classroom of the Future, which we are, absolutely forever grateful in this aspect of it. And Sai, listen, when I got a chance to meet you through the inimitable Peter Sibley, the CEO of Journeys Map, it's been nothing but a great relationship, and we're very, very excited about it. I'm going to brag a little bit about Sai because he's so modest about this. When we started chatting about how you've been involved with cyber and all that, it goes, I owned a couple of businesses and all this and sold them and did pretty well. And then I get a call from this guy named Tom Ridge. I mean, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Tom Ridge. Yeah, he gave me a call and said I should probably start my own business. You're so modest, my goodness. How long have you known Tom?
For over 2 years since he inspired me to start CyberCatch.
Right. How did he find out about you?
He read my book. I had written a book called Next Level Cybersecurity because my personal information was breached. My security clearance information, including my fingerprints, were accessed. And I was shocked. I thought, how could this happen? This is supposed to be Fort Knox protected. So I started digging into why these hacks happen, and I spent almost a year researching these breaches like Equifax and Target and SingHealth all around the world. And what I discovered was that these attackers have a certain methodology that is pretty consistent in every single hack. But people are not paying attention to the fact that they follow it in certain steps. And there's cookie crumbs as they go for the cookies that they leave behind, that people, if they look for the cookie crumbs, will be able to stop them. So that was my book, Next Level Cybersecurity, where I kind of described what the steps these attackers follow, what are the cookie crumbs, how to detect the cookie crumbs, and how to stop the hack. Tom had read my book. I didn't know him. He reached out, met with him in Washington, D.C. Instantly we connected, became my mentor. And he inspired me to start CyberCatch because he said, Sai, the book is really good. It's really informative. I read it. I really enjoyed it. That's why I called you. But you got to solve this problem. And you got to go at it from the root cause. Like, why are these hacks happen? So I said, Tom, you're absolutely right. So he's the inspiration behind CyberCatch, and we're just honored and thrilled to have him on our board as my mentor. He's just a great human being. Everybody loves him. The left side loves him. The right side loves him. The center loves him because he's the real deal.
Right. And we need more of the left and the right and the central loving people. And that's what we need in this country, to say the least, on this. But so did you all of a sudden didn't wake up with some type of a background on computer science and IT? Listen, I can barely know how 2 tin cans and a string work, for God's sake. Okay. So how did you, what was your background before that?
Drew, that's a great point. And I think we should emphasize this part for the listeners, because I think it hopefully will provide some inspiration and perhaps forward thinking. And so let's do this. Let me share with you a little bit of personal story.
Please.
I did not have the privilege of being born and raised in this great, amazing country. I grew up in the Indian subcontinent. And I didn't have a mastery of this language either, by the way, which I still don't. I'm still working on it.
I don't know about that. It sounds pretty good to me.
But when I arrived in this amazing, beautiful country, which was my dream, just as a kid, wanting to get a college education, that's how I came here. I didn't have a command of the language. I didn't know all these jokes that we Americans are able to, make and have fun. There are nuances, the accent, the language. I had none of that. So I think that's an example of like, if you focus and don't get intimidated, you can master. And I think that analogy exists in cybersecurity. And people are afraid or intimidated because they think, oh, it's for technical people. Oh, it's for those students that are in STEM only. No, it's not. It's for every one of us. We all need to master it because it's critical to success. So I think there's a little bit of hopefully inspiration there. And the other part to your point was, no, I came to study business because I thought business is fascinating. And that's my background. I studied business, got an MBA, and then I started working, for financial services organizations because it made sense. Also, to be honest with you, it was clean. I like financial services because we're dealing with money and clean money, not having to deal with like inventory. Didn't want to get my hands, if you will, dirty, if you will. I like wearing a suit, all those nice things in financial services, a few years ago at least, were attractive. And also I realized how important financial services are to our economy. I mean, that's what creates jobs in terms of providing funding for businesses, helping keep consumers, money safe, right? So that's how I got into it. But yeah, the point is, I didn't know anything about cybersecurity at that point. I didn't know anything about technical. It was more business. And then I became an executive, became a chief risk officer, chief compliance officer, chief information security officer. And then I started my own business, compliance coach here in San Diego. That was one of the first cloud-native platform solutions for helping financial services organizations stay compliant, be safe. And then, of course, I sold that business to FIS. And so the point, again, there is that cybersecurity came to me because of this challenge that occurred. And because I spent the time to really understand it and write the book, I had a little bit of background before, of course, but not to the extent that I have now. And so it can be mastered. And I think that's part of the message we want to convey today is that cybersecurity is really important. Everybody's got to master it in different ways.
And I think what's so important about that, we're chatting with Sai Huda. He's the chairman and CEO of CyberCatch. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union in these wonderful Mission Fed studios in Scripps Ranch. And Mission Fed's been doing great work for San Diegans for more than 60 years. And, and the point you're making, we're going to get to this a little bit in the interview here, that's inspirational about it is, no, you don't need to be a techie, so to speak. You don't need to be somebody who's an expert in robotics. There's plenty of space for a lot of folks in cyber. We're going to be chatting about that in a while. But I think what's interesting about this, and we've had a lot of discussions, and you put together a sort of a proposal for a K-12 cyber summit that's going to be twofold. One, protecting those districts that have been breached, and there's a lot of them that have been breached and so forth, they've been held for ransom. We're just in a conversation with someone about that yesterday. And, of course, how about the other aspect of it is, why aren't we having a career pathway that ties into cyber? Because we've got all these jobs that are going to be open, not fulfilled, at high paying in this aspect of it. So when you take a look at a K-12 district, and I know we teed you up with Sweetwater, and hopefully there'll be something coming out of that as well. Why are they so vulnerable?
Great question, Drew. Because the bad guys have figured out that our K-12 are really so focused on educating our kids and taking care of them so they become, productive citizens and productive human beings and make a difference in the world, that they haven't paid attention to the defense. They're educators, and they have thought in the past, come on, who would come after us? We're not a bank. We're not a big corporation that has a bunch of customers and a bunch of valuable data. We're teachers. We're teaching kids. Who would attack us? But what they haven't realized is, no, there are bad people out there that will attack you. They don't care. They just don't care. They're about mostly money, and sometimes it's strategic, from a national security, but most of the time it's money. So schools are unfortunately ripe targets because the schools have a lot of data. So they have data about students, they have data about faculty, teachers, They have data about parents, families, and they have data about the staff. And it's a lot of data because think about all the students that go through the schooling every year.
Right.
There's new kids coming on board. There's kids leaving. There's staff coming on board. A lot of movement going on. So imagine the data a school has over many years. It's enormous. And the data is not just basic information like, hey, what courses did you take and what are your classes, grades, and all that, right? It's information about you, social security numbers, about your family, medical information, counseling information, financial information, a whole host of stuff. So it is a treasure trove for these bad guys. So they've realized that schools have all this data and that schools haven't paid attention to cybersecurity, so they have weak defenses. They're easy pickings. And that's why just about every day, school is getting attacked around the country and falling victim to ransomware. And ransomware actually is a triple threat, which means that they're going to get in and they're going to first look for the data and they will then exfiltrate it out. And then they'll install the ransomware to lock everything down. So triple threat, why? Because the first threat is they got the data out. Second threat, they've got ransomware in there. Now, here's the third triple threat. Now they're going to say, hey, school, pay me. Because if you don't pay me in Bitcoins, here's at least 2 million Bitcoins, then guess what I'm going to do? I got your data, and I'm going to start leaking it on the dark web and publicly and embarrass you. So then you'll be really wanting to pay me quickly. Because if you pay me, then I'll give you the decryption key so you can be back up and running. That's the triple threat. So it's money. But here's the deal. If school doesn't pay because they've got the data, they can still make money off it because they can sell that data on the dark web. So those guys will win either way. And the school loses, unfortunately. So that's why we're here today to educate and say, look, let's wake up. Schools, you're a ripe target. So you got to get the defenses strong. But the other thing is, you've got to also look at the other coin side. One coin is get your defenses strong. The other coin is let's get our kids educated across the board, not just a few that are STEM students. It's everybody needs to be knowledgeable about the fact that they can be attacked, how they can be attacked, what hygiene they need to do, what are some things they need to know, because we all are going to be digital, or if we're not, who doesn't use email today, right? Everybody. Who doesn't use a website or access a website? We all do. So guess what? We're all digital. So schools are digital. We're all digital, and we got to understand the concept that we can be attacked anytime, and we need to know what do we do to protect ourselves as an organization, as individuals.
Yeah, with that question, when we come back from break, we're going to continue the conversation with Sai Huda, Chairman and CEO of CyberCatch, experts in cybersecurity and how do we keep our K-12 districts safe, and also how do we get into the thread, into the curriculum, sort of a pathway on cyber as well. He's going to give us some very, very simple cues of how to be good with cyber hygiene, which is very, very important on this. And all it takes is one hack, and you're going to be wishing you were only using smoke signals to communicate. When we return with Sai Huda, I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. It's been doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. For 17 years, we've been chatting about cool things going on in our communities, and we are brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. I've been doing wonderful things for San Diego County residents for 60 years. We are honored to have in the studio Sai Huda, Chairman and CEO of CyberCatch, a leading cybersecurity firm. Sai, what's the name of your book?
The book is called Next Level Cybersecurity, and it's really about these hacks that continue to happen, and why, and what can organizations do to prevent them. And so it describes these cases, where the hacks happen, like Target and Equifax, Sing Health in Singapore. It's global. I picked these cases to illustrate the fact that these attackers follow a certain method. What is it? And their signals, and what are the signals to look for, and what to do. So it's written in plain language because I wanted to have everybody enjoy it, and blessed that it's getting great review. It won the Global Book Awards gold medal for the information management category.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So that was really good, and it's used as a textbook at different universities around the world today. It's plain language, so there's actually a nice executive summary after every chapter. So if you wanted to get a quick read of where you're going, start backwards. Read the executive summary and then go into the chapter.
So like Cliff Notes, like when I was going to school over here, and so now everyone's going to the Googler and going, "What the hell are Cliff Notes, for God's sake?" This guy's ancient when he talks about that. Let me ask you this: is it because of, and I can say this, we have a lot of friends, as you know, full disclosure, that I've been honored to be involved with the Classroom of the Future Foundation for many, many years. We work with almost every one of the 43 school districts in San Diego County. Do you think some of the issue is, I'll be quite blunt, that maybe the schools get a little arrogant of, we know what we're doing, we know how to take care of this, we run schools. But, those folks who are always at the top of their game know where their expertise ends and somebody else's begins, right? Is there some of that? Or you don't want to be as harsh as I am?
Well, the way I would describe it is that I think that the schools think they have it covered,
right?
Because maybe they have an IT team,
right,
or maybe they have an IT partner. Most of them have partners,
right?
They have a small staff in IT,
right?
And so they go, well, this website's up, people are accessing it, we got emails are working, we've invested, some money into IT, we got people. I think life is good, we're covered. And so I think that's what we need to do, is we need to change that paradigm, and we need to educate and make, right from the superintendents to the rest of the management team to the IT folks, to understand that IT is not the same as cybersecurity. IT is keeping the lights on. It's, making sure that everything runs smoothly, the emails work, the websites are accessible, the system's up. That's IT. Cybersecurity is a different ball game. And the analogy I would give is, it's like your GP, your doctor, versus a specialist. So, you go to your GP, and what does the GP do? He keeps you running, or she keeps you running, right? Make sure your cholesterol level's good, your blood, level's okay, all the other stuff that you need are manageable. Gives you good coaching and keeps you running. And then you go in for regular checkups. Well, but he's not a specialist, or she's not a specialist. So time to time, you do need to focus, on certain areas like your heart and your brain. And if you don't do that, then you know what? You're going to be in trouble. So the GP needs to be aware of certain signals, and then the GP needs to get you connected to the heart specialist and the brain specialist, so that you will have a good life and you will be successful. Otherwise, there may be a virus that maybe already have entered in your body. And if you're not looking for the signals, then it's too late. And by the time you go to the heart specialist or the brain specialist, it's too late. Too late. So same analogy is what I would give here. And I think we're just focusing on the GP, not focusing on the specialist. We're the specialist CyberCatch. So what we do is we partner with the school and the IT folks to go, listen, you need to make sure your defense is strong. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scan and benchmark and see how strong your defense is. What are the controls do you have? Do you comply with the federal mandate, cybersecurity framework, NIST cybersecurity framework, CSF? You're supposed to have 108 controls. Oh, guess what? You only got 50. So let's get the other ones in here, and then you'll have a strong defense. That's the first thing we do. What we find is most schools don't even know what NIST CSF is. Some do, but they haven't had a chance to implement them. They've implemented maybe 40, 50 controls. Well, that is asking for trouble, number one. And then number two is then we say, okay, now let's continually test these controls so we can find the holes before the attacker does. So we scan from the outside. We send simulated phishing emails to high-value targets. And we find the holes and we help plug them. We have an AI-enabled engine that helps do this, plus our people. We have a whole team of VCISOs. And then we have an agent that goes inside the network and does continuous testing, 36 different tests. See? So we find the holes. Therefore, when the attacker does look, they find nothing. And they go, this is nothing. Let me go to another school. And that's the whole point. That's how we win. And that's what's missing today. So we're attacking this at the root cause, which is defense is weak and nobody's testing the defense regularly. So same analogy I would give is that, let's get the GP to be intelligent, looking for those signals, the virus signals, and let's have a couple of specialists that are hooked up with you that are there for you, and that therefore you don't need the major surgery, or you don't, even if you have the surgery, it's too late.
Right.
Don't get there.
So how do people get a hold of you?
CyberCatch.com. Please do check it out. And cybercatch.com/K-12. We actually have a whole website dedicated to our key customer base, which is K-12 schools. And we're passionate about this, Drew. Our solution is very affordable. It's not about that. It's about taking care of our future. And that's why I'm so honored and thrilled to be here with you, because it's a personal honor for me to be here, because it's our mission to protect the most vulnerable. And that's, if you look at our company, you'll see we're focused on most vulnerable. And one of the key most vulnerable areas is K-12. And they're our future. We got to protect them.
Right. And also would encourage, if you are on the curriculum side, and we didn't touch too deep in this, we'll have a follow-up interview with Sai down the road, and we'll actually bring in some teachers that are actually doing some pretty good on cyber pathways as well. Give them a call also and talk about this. And one of the things that I was honored, I think I mentioned to you before, I was co-hosting a cyber show 3 or 4 years ago, a little bit ahead of our game. But one of the things we talked about all the time was that you do not need, we sort of touched on it in this interview, to be an expert in robotics. There are so many jobs in cyber. You need marketers, you need community relations, you need graphic artists, you need salespeople, you need teachers, you need lawyers, you need everything. And the analogy I use, Sai, and I might have said it to you, I was honored to work for the Union Tribune for many, many years. At the heyday, we had 2,400 employees. Only 1/6 of them were journalists. 5/6 of our paper were folks like the delivery people, the sales folks, the advertisers, the community people, the graphic artists. And it really surprises people. Well, yeah. Well, the same thing in cyber. Yeah, you're going to have some of the ones that are going to be designing this and that, but you're going to have the other ones that are going to be out there doing what you have done. Shout out that book one more time, Sai.
Thank you, Drew. It's called Next Level Cybersecurity. And I just wanted to leave you with this one last comment, what you just made, Drew, which is that we've got to now create cybersecurity curriculum all the way starting at K level through
Absolutely.
12. And it's got to be plain language. It's got to be building on cyber hygiene. Like simple thing like don't use a password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 23 million people use that. Did you know
Wow.
over 1 million people use the word, the words "I love you" as a password?
Wow. And they wonder why they got breached?
Right.
Right. No, you're spot on. But get the book. We're going to have you back on sooner than later as well. And maybe, let's bring you on with one of your clients. How does that sound? That's someone who was really loved doing the work with you there. That's your best credibility. Anyway, I want to thank you personally for being a great friend of this show, of course, because we're going to have you on multiple times. And, of course, your support of Classroom of the Future. Just wishing you and CyberCatch nothing but great success, because when you're successful, our students and our teachers and our parents and administrators will be successful. Sai, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Drew. Honored to be with you.
Absolutely. We've been chatting with Sai Huda, Chairman and CEO of CyberCatch. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you've been listening to another edition of Spotlight on the Community, brought to you by Cloudcast Media and Mission Fed Credit Union. Mission Fed doing wonderful things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.